Say.
Good morning. Uh, my name is Vincentius Jimnie. You can call me Vincent or Jimnie. I'm from Cilegon City. The next, I'm a story to the influence of the church in our society during the last of the century. In the past 2 years, the world has been to unconfrontable situation. The COVID-19, the pandemic, he become an earth has chance to life to our 100 present. This pandemic originated in the China and eventually spreads to all the world. The effect of this pandemic is really felt by the community, namely crisis. The crisis include and crisis economy and crisis faith. Often, on the economy and the faith become an integral part of human life. Human cannot cannot can cannot cannot be spread uh, from economy physical source and faith as a spiritual source. However, uh, of this pandemic, human he almost lost this source of physical and spiritual intake. The church saw this. The church does not remain silent and tries and strives to provide facilities and means so the humans are Christian also have have hope to rise from the uh, adversity. The church seeks to provide firstly ministry, truth teaching, and the sacraments to support spiritual life. Not only that, the church is also influenced in the social movements to provide welfare to more and more to the people. Pandemic fed crisis. In the tense period, government in the precipice on the state has spread to the public state at home and possible. Yes? Work to home, study home, worship home, shop for home, and home. For that, in the government decides to close a place of the worship. At first, the church had meant the any move, any move, any move to the any move to the other days to close all place worship. The first, the church not made any move address this. The result in the people long for worship and come to church. From this, slowly the faith and the people decreased because there was not more supply or spiritual active to the people to do. And the uh, people long for spiritual active and come to church, but on the one hand, people are afraid because of this pandemic. So the people are just waiting for the church effort to provide facilities so that to the longing of the people and the faith of the people remain fertile and minded. The pandemic considered crisis of faith. The pandemic has a new impact in the faith of Christian. Actually, they long to come to church and to service usual, but they arrive and don't know what to do. In the early days, the church had not made contribution because the church itself shocked by this situation. One, on the hand, the church is never silent. The church provided and way and facilities for the faithfully. The Catholic Church in universal church and not only thinks about its people but more and more people. Thus, so the Catholic Church try finds a way to give happiness to feelings, to hope by looking for alternative that lead to the happiness through service and catechesis. Seek work, seek fight. The pain of the world began to responsibilize the church. Church, Pope Francis, as the lead of the Catholics around the world, makes good contribution in a catechism with the Holy every Wednesday in the city Rome. The Pope's catechism contains social teaching in which the church and and share with the people about in application considered. The catechism from the Pope and the truths in a book entitled the social teach of the church. This teaching of the Pope in his impact on the faithfully to even no horizon for feeling with the active by this pandemic. The Pope invite to the faithfully to reflect and help and to the spiritual, physical, moral life. Case history, the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic originated in China. The COVID-19 virus discovery in a market and infectious spread and over to the world. In sign of data, this pandemic has claimed many lives. In fact, government of various countries has experienced that weakness handling is cat. Many hospitals are full, and the con launcher and combined COVID patients, not to mention many burial planes and full because and the many visit who died, to not to mention to lack of medical personnel. From this, the government began to the treat with the virus. Catechism and teaching and caring. The Catholic Church always follow the times and follow to courage that occurring during this pandemic. The church is sharing answer the challenge of the virus from virus aspect, namely faith and the social. Pope Francis and head to Universal Catholic Church give catechists at the first church social teaching. In the closely read the catechism, this open onto opportunities for the church and the fully to take part sharing to fellow brother and sister in need, especially for the those affected by pandemic. The goal for is faithfully to hope, compassion and profit strike the faithfully who are active this pandemic. Pandemic Church of document. In particular of document and Second Vatican Council church contribution teaching through the pastoral constitution of the church in today's world or Gaudium et Spes. Nah, in this document, upset the explain to the faithful to give joy and hope to poor and suffering. This document teaches in part as humans being to feel compassion one brother. This pandemic period is actually considered step this document. The pandemic period to change human life 108 dangers. Human who are shocked and unable to accept the reality will carefully experience stress, uh, depression, depression. Likewise, with those who the poor and needy. However, in reality, many people are actually using on the pandemic as mean and enrich themselves by using negative things. For example, our currents to vaccine for max and fraud related to rapid antigens and many of the government deliberate corruption of social assistance funds. These are the truly and acts that are contribuble detrimental to the all human beings. This document want to speak out in invite to humanity, especially to Christian faithfully, don't to type and fixate on the difficulty on opportunity to enrich to themselves. The impact to pandemic of the church. As the above, the church also feeling the impact of the pandemic. He big impact faith church we close according to government policy. The church trying to profit service the people be changing all the celebration product to be shorter. Besides to the church provided new brick talk to prison facility to the condition and aims to provide spiritual facilities for the full or the church took action to hold live streaming and Eucharistic celebration. Not only that, the church 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 trying the church trying to profit service to people change or the celebration product to be shorter. Beside to the church provided to Newbrick to prison facility in from on Eucharist celebration so that faithfully worship even to the at home. Worship order. Yes, worship order. The church provided facilities order worship. In fact, the church never alone Eucharistic celebration streaming. However, to two condition and to provide spiritual facilities to faithfully, the church took action and holy live streaming Eucharist celebration. Not only the church, also short product the celebration worship. At the first celebration was lively. First songs were sung. No songs only received. Again, unusually to Eucharistic celebration attended by the fully, but no people to take in Eucharistic celebration how water we actually use when entering the church with aims for the purify ourselves in abolish the greeting for the of the peace usually done saying shaking hands. Now it's one done his clubs hands and bow. The arms to reduce to intensive of the faithful to make inner contact and intense people to continue obey health the protocol. Celebration of the sacrament. uh, change does not only occur the Eucharist but in several sacraments. For the example, for the sacrament anointing or the six received by the priest by not this condition. The church dispense with the means of nurse and a priest who give blessing and prayer, and all sacraments as well as baptism, marriage, ordination, almost the same occurs with is made short possible with being attention and by many people. Likewise, requirements for the Jews did do the COVID and requiem mass had after the body praise and grief. The mass was had only with the worship. The church contributes and participates. The church contribution or salvation solve, answering faith and the crisis. Salvation of soul, priority of church, priority of church, priority of church. Gaudium et Spes on the homily Pope. The church had to answer question, be moving spiritual but also economic healthy. The the church play a role economic sector. Church contribution to economy significant and helpfully. The church provided serve to assistant some money and profits job to the effect of the crisis. Church government. Church and always obey government. Not only that, church also completes the process community development worldwide. Church open up. This church is open because church is our to answer church in the system of government. Church not only alone instead. Thus, church comparative to government carry social work and to Christianity not sin Christianization the by community. Church service SUP. The church sits down. Church always to service more and more the people. Faction and self-isolation service. The church open to himself service, namely faction and self-isolation for the active by the coronavirus. Vaccine service in this for not for Christian but all the people. The goal the firm for them have immune facilities and about coronavirus outbreak, and this carried to the change free of change and not feel doctrine nation self isolation service also only aimed on Christian but also more and more people who what affect again church cared for the salvation soul, research of course origin and religion, all the things done because of the church cons sensitivity and society. The conclusion, the church really opened itself up the full and safety on the whole community is caring attitude in not doctrine but for salvation of soul popularity. Thank you and God bless you all.
So